out.
Okay.
So,
Well,
but
don't.
I'll go for as long as I can and just answer as much as I can. Typically, as long as you can throw questions at me, I can keep going. So,
Excellent. Excellent.
hmm
So you do this by you. You say it's like a download. Is it similar to channeling?
I believe so, but I believe I'm channeling my higher self, not random arbitrary.
Okay.
Yeah, it's my heart I'm channeling. It's my higher self I'm channeling. I don't look to connect and contact and channel messages from outside of that. So you never know. Right?
Right.
Yeah.
One of the big things you told you now you're okay. Let me introduce you. I guess we're going live now. I don't. There's.
Okay.
I'm not even watching according to this thing, but we are live.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you go and change channel weekly. Is that right? Unbiased and on
Yeah,
the
yeah,
fence.
we've doing that for over a year now. So yeah, we made a great connection, and you know, it's gone really well. So, and you know, we're both really open in that sort of unbiased on the fence way. I like to contemplate a lot of a variety of different ideas and concepts, but I don't put, you know, all my eggs in one basket and say this is the way it has to be. What do I know? Right? What do any of us know?
What?
But I just kind of intuitively, you know, work towards the own pieces of my own puzzle, and putting that picture together of what makes sense to me, but also really respect the fact that it's my individual projection of my reality. So what makes sense to me may not make sense to somebody else, and that does not necessarily mean that I am right, they are right, I am wrong. It's an individual perception and projection that we pursue and have a right to pursue. So
So everything that is in front of you, everything that's in your surroundings, within your perception, is being projected from you. Is
I
that what you're
believe
saying?
so, is a extension of you.
Yeah.
We just feel so separate. I think that's one of the big things that this shift is about, is for us shifting back to the natural reality where we do really realize, we actually feel like when you experience embodiment, it really is that you are one with your environment. Your environment is you. um it's 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 perfectly perfect, just like you are in that state. So it doesn't feel like something outside of yourself. It feels like an extension of who you are, and it fits you well. So when you're in a great, you know, a good embodied state, there's nothing like it,
Yeah.
right? But unfortunately, we are operating not on an even keel. You know, we've gotten too used to always focusing on the thinking mind and what the thinking mind projects is supposed to happen in this reality, and we run by those rules instead of running our projection through the heart. We're running it through our mind, like through our thinking ego mind, right? And that's the real trick. I think that's really one of the big things that this shift is about, is shifting your projection and perception on relying on the egoic thinking mind to actually being based and the foundation in your heart mind. So two really very different things.
And that's very similar to, if not the same thing, that when I would say I'm going to create, I started up here, and I wasn't lining it up with my heart. So there was just, failures left and right until I got the message. You need to do it from here. And I feel like I've also learned it's not. You gotta take this away.
You do. You got
I'm,
to learn that it's a completely different voice, that voice is actually not you per se. It's an aspect of you that you've been um relying on heavily, all of us have, to function in this 3D reality, because we were told, well, that's the way things work. Use your head, right? But the real power, that's the trick. The real power in this environment for manifestation and is stems from the heart, which doesn't speak to us the same way that the mind does. And the mind has had the volume turned up, and it's kind of all we hear, and it throws all this words at us. You really have to quiet and go within, put that voice in the back seat, and really start to listen to the heart and become familiar with it, build a relationship with it in order to learn how to hear it, because it speaks to you completely different than your mind does.
Right. And you don't want to hear it with your mind. You want to hear it with your body, right? I mean,
you experience it with your body. I've really come to look at as, very kind of two very different kind of energy. Whereas the thinking mind, this thinking process is very electric. It's electrifying energy. So you can manifest, you can electrify your environment, charges the environment, doesn't it? But that can be very sort of unstable. Static charge, it can electrify. That's not necessarily a state we want to be working in all the time. Where's your heart mind? If you think about it and you center yourself, that's a very magnetic energy. It's very grounded, and the magnetism of that is very powerful. When you really ground into the heart, you can feel the strength of that magnet and how it pulls and draws your environment to you, how your environment becomes you, an extension of you, as opposed to charging everything around you. Now, when real mastery, I think, is when we set this aside, that thinking mind, as much as you can right now, and really start grounding and developing that relationship with the heart, feeling your own inner magnetism, and focusing on that. And then once we've got that in place really good, then we can start learning how to introduce and balance that electric energy again. And then boom, baby, that's when we're really going to fly, I think.
oh, see, that's fantastic, because I don't know how else to describe it. I mean, I'll go out and I'll say, okay, I'm going to specifically just feel with my heart and go, and I keep thinking.
Well, it says we need to have patience and love and understanding and acceptance still for our thinking mind, because a lot of this is like, when we first started, you don't think, we really want to, they try to shut up that thinking mind and put it on the shelf, because with all those words comes a lot of judgment, a lot of criticism, a lot of different things. What's really happening right now, and I think a lot of people are experiencing, is sort of a lashing out of this egoic thinking mind, trying to find its place, trying to show that it still has value, that you still need me. So we really want to create sort of a nurturing environment for both of the growth of this heart mind, and learning how to listen and really growing this new seed, but then also still having the patience, understanding, the compassion for the thinking mind. And some of this lashing out and the dialogue that can come on is just our thinking mind trying to find its place still. So we don't want to say, shut up, you don't make sense, you sit in the back. We more want to have compassion, realizing that often that voice was developed young. Look for that inner child that had that sort of experience or difficult experience where it learned that hard lesson, where don't you make that mistake again. And try to have compassion and be like, I know you're afraid, and I know that you are used to thinking that this is the way that we do things, and these are the things that we have to worry about, and that these are the things that we have to do, and these are the ways that we have to move through environment. I understand that you're used to doing things that way, and I hear you, and it's okay. We're going to focus back from the heart. Have the compassion still with your thinking mind, as opposed to just shutting it up, but realizing that it's just telling stories. It's not you. It's telling a story of you. Telling a story of you that it's created, that you have created in here. But we are not the story.
No, we're not. I don't think we know who we are. I mean, we were told who we are from the beginning.
Well, this is what our heart is trying to remind us of. And I think if we really want to remember who we are, it's more than just remembering memories, like remembering more stories. I think sometimes we think remembering who we are kind of entails remembering more stories. I don't think that's what it's really about. I think it's really about releasing these stories, and remembering who we are is remembering the essence of who we are. This really comes from the heart. So, waiting for returned memories necessarily isn't quite it what we're trying to remember. We're trying to remember being who we are.
See, I can see that.
Being in who we are.
And the memory thing, there's the Mandela effect. Doesn't matter what your memories are
It doesn't
anyway.
matter. And we can, with changing timelines, with this, with that, they're all, and there's stories, their experiences and everything. But, we often just autopilot, reiterate these stories from past experiences. Every time we do that, we're kind of like re-impressing on our physical body what our story is, and it just continues our projection. What happens when you detach yourself from these stories? Stories that other people tell you about who and what they are and life is. Stories about what you tell yourself about who you are, what life is. They're all just stories. And it's stepping away from those stories is how we are going to remember who we really are, not by collecting more stories of who we were. It's an energy of being. It's a way of being that is all intention is motivated from the heart. It's not the intention of the egoic mind. And it completely changes how you will move through reality.
So we need to live in the moment. I mean, that's what this showed me. I mean, it's the Mandela effects. We're looking in the past. It's different. Things are changing. I've seen things change in front of me. Live in the moment. I mean,
and don't get like hung up on, the fact that you see reality one way and somebody else sees reality another way. Let it go. It's time to really let that go. We're all in our own individual process. People will hear what they're ready to hear when they're ready to hear it. And you really have to focus on your own inner process and the stillness in your heart right now. This is where the real challenge comes in as things get more chaotic externally with all these shifts and changing, the pots boiling over as far as activity and things to look at outside of yourself, and all these different stories and changes are going on. It's, by no means am I saying don't watch it. I think this is where the fine tuning comes in. You can watch, but are you listening still to your heart, or it's real mastery and being able to still partake and observe, yet not take the stories within to yourself as you, especially when we have got Mandela effects, timeline changes, like, who knows? Watch the show. It's just a show.
Just observe.
It's not you. It's not, when you really experience the sensations of embodiment as an infinite being, there's a multitude of stories. It's all a show. It's not the essence of who you are and the essence of what we're actually trying to remember. As much as the Great Awakening is part of this whole awakening process, it really is a stage that it's only a beginner stage. It's like training wheels. You don't stop there, because we're still initially, when we're processing all that information and processing it through the way we've always done things. At some point, we have to break away and feel that shift within us, not outside of us with all the changes, but really within us, and then come back at it in a different way, So it's a beginning process, this Great Awakening, but I hope that people will see the transition from all the focus of the energy that's exerted on all the changes outside of ourselves, to stop and take the time to still realize it really is within. It really, really is within. So as exciting as all this stuff may be, real mastery comes from observing, yet really listening still and staying within.
Listening with your heart.
Yeah. And not making all these stories our own stories. There's a subtle difference to it energetically.
Yes, there definitely is.
Mm-hmm.
And with the shifts and the changes, energy waves. Let me talk about energy waves. Now, in the 80s, I was reading about things called the photon belt.
Mm-hmm.
Could that be what this is? Because this is what I was told, after 2012, and that's what I read. Photon belts are going to
Right.
be hitting the planet. And, every once in a while, I'll catch a show that's saying, yeah, more energy waves are coming in.
Yeah. Well, we're moving through different places in the universe, different places like, our whole solar system. They've talked about like the cloud where we are and moving out of that. I think there's a lot of different dynamics going on. And the way I kind of see it is a cyclical thing, cycles, larger and larger cycles that are swinging around. I don't think it's one thing. So to be honest, I think it's a multitude of things going on in many different levels that are bringing these different waves of energy in. And to be honest, it's not my technical forte. I feel it physically, so I feel the sensations. I've certainly spent a lot of time over the last couple years really delving into that, trying to learn about space weather, planetary alignments, where we are in the galaxy, what's going on as our magnetic shield decreases, more cosmic rays. So I think it's a lot of cosmic rays that are coming in and changing things. But I think that we have energy coming at us in different physical, astral, like etheric, and from all angles coming at us to propel this change.
Is that because some people take it one way? So everybody's in their own dimension, or
yeah.
Say I don't know.
And who am I to presume? You know what I mean? Like, again, it's it really has come back to I kind of extended myself out there to learn and look at those things, but again, I have sort of pulled back in to realize it's a very internal process. Like, look at another Mandela effect, like where we were even in the galaxy. We're over here, and then now we're over here.
The Orion belt and the Sagittarius belt.
So who am I to presume to know? I don't know. And I could say today I know, and tomorrow I wouldn't know. I think that's one of the biggest things I've learned in the last, once you get into the 40s, and then you you think you know everything, and then you get hit with the fact that you don't know a damn thing. So I really try to work from the fact of just taking in different ideas. But ultimate truth is only known by God, not by me. So I just have to put my faith in that, my higher self, and trust completely in that I don't need to know all the truth. I just know that something's happening. I know how my body responds to it. And I try to listen and intuit the messages from my higher self that help me guide through this process, and hopefully be able to share with others tidbits that help them get through the experience and realize that they're not the only one that is thinking and feeling these things or experiencing these different things. Many people that do experience a lot of the stuff that we've talked about don't have somebody to necessarily talk to. Maybe you felt like a little bit of the black sheep or the oddball, or you're strange, or so that was my big thing, was to be able to give those affirmations to other people to help them feel more secure in their process, to understand that it is a real thing, because that's the ego mind wants to come in and tell you all these things, throw in all the doubt, throw in all the shade, tell you what you are and what you aren't. And so I just like to add to that voice to say, hey, that's actually not you. You don't have to listen to that.
I've been coming across that a lot lately. 2 videos ago I was pretty adamant about people better start listening to themselves instead of listening to everybody on YouTube.
Yeah.
I'm like, find a way. If you feel that you need to, if you're out there to get truth out, find another way to do it without YouTube. I'm not saying get off YouTube. Do YouTube as long as you can do YouTube. Find another way. Me, I'm behind the bar walking around the street. I'll be standing in line. People start talking about Fruit Loops. It's like, well, is that a signal for me to mess up these people's lives?
Hey, when they ask the question, that's where you want to come from. When it comes to you and they bring it up, that's when you want to talk, but when you're coming from the heart, you're going to be listening to other people's needs, not your own needs, in regard to what you need to tell them and what they need to hear.
Oh, because what they need to hear may be something different, and you're going to give it to them anyway. Hey, last night at the bar, I had one of these shirts on, Mandela Effect.
Yeah.
Guy said, "Hey, Mandela Effect, what is it?" And as soon as I looked at him, I thought, this is not going to work. There's just no way. And I looked around and I'm like, I'm not busy. I got to sit here and explain it to him. He justified everything I questioned him on. I explained my theories and other people's theories. And he's just like, hey, it's just misremembering your mind. You're getting old. There's not enough room in your brain. And I'm like, yeah, that must be it. And I'm like, I can't.
Thanks for telling me how my brain works. See, that's where my sass comes out, man. I'm like, oh, thanks.
Well, that's that. I love that.
Right? I'm only a grown. Yeah, that's okay. Who's lived my life, right?
You know what's going on in my head. You know my memory.
Yeah, you know what's. Oh, I'm so glad you explained that to me. I can take the shirt off now. Right? Why am I wearing this shirt? Why didn't I have this conversation with you?
The best part was
5 years ago, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, the best part was I was picking a shirt to wear, and I'm like, don't do it. Don't wear that shirt. Wear something else. And I'm like, nobody's going to talk to me about it. Put it on, and first guy I talked to.
Yeah, but I mean, how did you? I mean, I think it's what we take from that. Nobody's surprised. So he asked you, and you answered. I think that's great. And I think we have to realize just because we answer doesn't mean they're still going to accept it. But I think we have to be comfortable with speaking our truth. You need to feel that, allow that energy from the heart to speak your truth, not push your truth on other people, not feeling the need and necessity to be constantly going out there and straightening people out about what they don't know. That's your own ego. That's your own desire,
Agreed.
right? Yeah. That's you pushing your agenda out of a need for you. I don't care what excuse you use about how you're just trying to help others, blah, 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 blah. Again, all stories. And it's all stories that you're constructing in order to allot for your intention and motivation. It is. It's your need ultimately. And the best way to come at it is when people approach you and they ask you. So, and they're either going to accept it or they're not. But, you want to be coming from a place where you're listening to their need, not your own. Right. And then you'll know that you're working from, and what's coming out of your mouth is not your ego thinking mind, but it's coming from your heart.
And I may not agree with that up here. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm like, that would be tough. But first, I need to learn to go here all the time. I go right to the head. I mean, there was a couple of times last night where I just went right into my head. Somebody said something about, guy said he was a pilot. And I went, so is it flat? And he said, yeah, it is, and I thought, he's saying it like being, flippant, like, not really whatever. Guy next to him looks at me and goes, you a flat earther? And I said, I'm an I don't know her.
Yeah.
I said, I went through a big thing where, I jumped on. I did not. It took me a long time, but after I looked at flat earth for a while, I'm like, okay, something's up here. And then I kind of jumped on it and then jumped back going, wait a minute. I don't even know if it's flat.
How are you going to know for sure?
I don't know. No, I didn't experience it. I'm only experiencing my perception around me. That's it. So
until I turn into Superman myself and can physically myself with my own eyes go and fly and go around the earth and see what it is, I don't freaking know what it is. Right. I mean, I do lean towards a globe myself, but even still, I don't know. I don't even know if, are we having individual projections about what the Earth is? I
was
don't know.
wondering that there might be. I mean, I always tend
Could
to
you
think,
perceive a flat Earth and I perceive a round Earth?
why not?
I don't know.
I mean, if I can watch Kit Kat lose a dash, why can't that happen?
So yeah, so you're right today and wrong tomorrow, so let it go. So what do you know? All you know is what you know in your heart in this moment right now about you. That's it. About you. You can't presume to know somebody else's experience or thoughts or intentions. So, but
Actually, you and I, according to a theory that I lean towards, you and I are having this discussion on multiple timelines. We could be talking about different things, or you could be talking about one thing, I'm talking about something else, but depending on where you're at, I guess level wise or whatever, is what you're picking up through this. I mean, and that's stuff that, yeah, that's possible, but how important is it to know that?
not really. Ultimately, you're still concerning yourself with something outside of yourself.
So it's
You're
okay.
still concerning, and thinking, is your stability got to do with an answer that's about something outside of you?
Well, of course not. No.
Yeah.
I guess it's just a matter, because I annihilate everything. I got to dissect it to the bone to figure out this and that and everything. And I guess I got some of that information, but they kind of stopped with it because I don't need to know all that to get through where I'm at now.
Well, it can be a distraction. And you know what? I think those of us who really like to use our mind, that's always been my thing. If I had a question, I want to pick it apart. I would go to the library, old school days, where they didn't have the computers or anything. And I, take out all the books and read everything. And I like to use my mind. I like to use my thinking mind, and got very comfortable with what that could do for me and its, processing power, and then rely on that, aspect, and then identify with that as my intellectual thinking mind, and working from that solely. I think it's harder for those that are more intelligent, inclined to really dig these things, to actually set aside the thinking mind. We've relied very heavily on it because it works really well for us, and we like the way it makes us feel, right? Hey, I can I can talk with the best of them, but again, where is that stemming from? Where is that desire stemming from? And I've really found, especially the course of this this year, what's really shifted for me in the last 6 months. Of course, it does not seem like this right now, but how much less I talk. Like I put everything out into these kind of exchanges like we're doing here right now, but when it's called upon me to do so, the necessity to do so otherwise, it's very strange for me how little I now speak.
I haven't noticed.
Yeah, you're not going to notice right now, but it's driving my mom nuts. She's like, all you say,
I was checking out your channels, and I got a couple things written down here. Rapture came up. Is that something you talked about?
I've talked about dreams. So whether or not people have rapture dreams or event dreams, I find different people have different experiences, but they all point to this big shift. So whether I'm really fascinated with that. The fact that so many of us, because that's how I started experiencing a lot of this myself, as far as understanding what ascension was through dreams and having event dreams after they kicked in after 2012. And then I became fascinated with the fact that there's so many people all over the world having these kinds of dreams. And then, since that point too, I've had dreams about energy, receiving energy, lots of different messages. So I'm very interested in people that have rapture dreams and event dreams and energy dreams and lucid, all kinds of different experiences that we're having in dreams right now that show this change. So
Nice. So if anybody wants to write to Michelle, I don't have her email down there. But I do have
Oh,
her a link for her
yeah,
channel.
my channel. Yeah. Well, it's Wolf, WOLFE, dot ART101 at gmail.com. I think I think we'll make sure to put the link up there. It should be on my channel for my email.
Yeah, I'll
But
get
then
it
I'm
up.
on every Tuesday with Shane. It's always posted up there
You
too.
could always
So
find her there. Yeah.
yeah, so I do, I do work with people on sort of discerning the energy of their dreams, and
What about? Oh, so you're big into dreams? Is that or just
I
that
am. I swear
specifically?
I've done a lot of my own personal work. A lot of the pieces of this puzzle, a lot of my experiences um do come from, dream time reality. So as well as waking, but a lot of the pieces of the puzzle, a lot of my work's done in dreams, yeah, personally. So mm-hmm.
Okay. How about symptoms? Now, I think this is a big one we could probably get into. I remember you and Shane
So
were on the
many.
channel. It was probably 3 weeks to a month ago, and I could feel the pressure here and in my shoulders,
Yeah, like
and I
pushing you
was,
down.
and I'm like getting these aches and pains, and I'm like,
Yeah,
God, you know what? I haven't been to the hot springs in 3 weeks. Maybe that's what it is. That's not
right.
what it was. I mean, this is, it's just coming down, and then
Yeah.
and forget the stomach,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know. So
I know.
these are, I guess I'll call them ascension symptoms.
Symptoms. Yeah, that's what most of us, I guess have called it. So energy symptoms, and I think there's again a real variety. Just like we talked about the different kinds of waves. There's different energy waves coming in from all different angles. Coming in, and basically, I think they're doing different things, but the majority is filtering out lower energies, filtering out old contracts, filtering out old things that really have been imprinted on us, on our physical bodies and etheric bodies. And in trying to filter all this out of our system by raising the vibration, increasing the frequency, to vibrate at a higher resonance, to allow for an embodiment experience to
So
fully come in.
are we now? This is a silly question. Are we doing this individually or collectively?
Both.
That's why I thought it was a silly question.
Mhm. Always
So,
both.
but basically, we need to work on ourselves.
Ultimately, yes. And if you do spend, again, if you're spending all your time worrying about what everybody else is or isn't doing in this process, you're missing the boat. It really has come down to really quieting into the own inner heart, and that's how we're really gonna help the whole world. Um, we always want. I mean, we always want to be reaching out. It's as much as we can do. Of both. That's why I do this. That's why I do this show with Shane. I try to share with people who are asking for assistance, and then otherwise it's just completely an internal process. It really is at this point.
I've
Hmm.
already felt things in my heart. I'm like, yes, that's what you do. That's
Can
how
you
you
hear
have.
it talking to you about? I find it's responding now physically,
I
almost
can hear it talk.
flutters.
Yeah, but not. I'm not. I don't hear it here.
No,
And
no.
that's the thing I need to get used to. Um, I think that it'll always smiling about. I can feel my feet on the ground right now. I mean, it's stuff like
Hmm.
that. It's like I'm everything's getting brighter.
Yes.
I sat outside a couple days ago, sat on the hammock, just laid there, and I realized I was just too comfortable to get up. I had the camera with me. I'm taking pictures of the
Yeah.
mountains and the clouds, and I just put the camera down. I'm just laying there, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get up. I'm going to get up. And then all of a sudden, it was just, no, I'm just going to sit here.
No, just breathe.
And yeah, and there was no thinking going on, nothing
Mm.
after I put the camera down, and everything got brighter. I could just see everything. I was just like, whoa. I mean, no mushrooms or anything. It's
No, but are you seeing like the energy move through the air at all? Are you seeing
oh,
anything like that?
now when I zoom in on the moon with the P900,
Hmm.
I do see what looks like could waves or heat, maybe. That's, that's what I've
Yeah,
experienced.
I've seen film of that before with the waves going across.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I've zoomed in on the stars. I don't know if you've seen some of them shots.
Hmm.
For me, I mean, and I apologize. I got to get you a book. I probably haven't read it. The,
Hmm.
the one scene, the stars came at me, showed me they were not suns with planets revolving around them.
Right.
That's what they were communicating to me. And the first one, I mean, I walked outside, and it was the exact epiphany when I realized, I don't know if it's a ball, I don't know if it's flat. The
Yeah.
Egyptians think you're souls. I walked outside and I went, I'll bet you're all just UFOs. And the first one came right at my heart. I mean, just like, and
Wow.
it lasted 3 seconds, that part. And when it was coming, I had a cigarette in my hand, and I'm standing straight in the middle of the yard. I tried to get away. I froze. There was nothing I could do. I gave up. And as soon as I gave up, it got to my heart about here and slingshotted back. And then they all started doing it for about
Wow.
2.5 minutes.
Amazing.
August 8th, 2015.
Wow.
And I just stood there like this, trying to hide. I'm like, I don't want them to see me. They were doing it to me. And I'm like, oh, and I'm hiding the cigarette because I don't want them to see the cigarette. And the funny thing was, is for the longest time, I'm like, wow, I was really embarrassed about that cigarette. What specifically was I embarrassed about? And Glow said, you were embarrassed that you were human.
Yeah.
That you're not, but you're like, yeah, I'm acting like it right now, and you're hiding the
Yeah.
cigarette. And didn't want them to see the
That's
cigarette.
great.
So yeah,
That's
a heck of
awesome.
an
What do you feel
experience.
that they were telling you when that energy came to
That
you? Because you asked a question, you were like, I bet you're just. So, what do you feel the answer was to that
that
question?
they were not suns with planets revolving around them. They were intelligent beings.
Consciousness.
They're
Hmm.
telling me that. Well, see, now what I did is, after I thought through all that, I'm like, well, either they're intelligent beings or intelligent being behind them controlling them. I lean towards their intelligent beings individually or whatever.
Hmm.
Now, before that experience, and before the one I'm going to tell you about, I impaled myself. Should have
On what?
died. A glass table.
Oh God. Okay.
Oh, you're going to love that chapter in the book because everybody's like, I can't read this chapter. Yeah, because I just went straight down on a board, just straight down,
Wow.
right on this table. It was pitch black. I did not know it. Okay, I did not believe it.
Right.
I did not feel a thing until
Wow.
I started to pull myself up, and I could feel this thing trying to push out my back. And I'm like, oh, this is in me. All this stuff started going through my head. Get to a phone. There's going to be a lot of blood. Don't pass out. Don't pierce your heart. And I'm like, it's right
Yeah.
on my heart. It is right on my heart. Don't let it pierce your heart.
Oh my God.
A week later, the heart moved into the center of the chest. Or at least for me, that's when I found it. Okay, that's
That's
when
hilarious. It moved over. Yeah.
so and I was about this much shorter, like I'm not short enough. And I started to notice changes. After that, 2 weeks later, orbs, size of cars, 40 yards over my head, amoeba-like, plasma-like looking over my head, started shooting paragraphs of information in my head. And I'm sitting there with a beer and a cigarette going, I am not getting this. Oh my God. I'm backing up into the garage
Got the wrong
door.
number.
I'm like, oh, I've never seen a UFO in my life. Really? You're going to give me all that? So the one on the left dissipated. The one on the right just pounding information. I'm not getting it. So because the last thing he told me was, I don't know how to describe it, for that was me.
Hmm.
Me and my mate or something.
Right.
I don't know how else to describe what, but it was a
Yeah.
paragraph. But they
Wow.
started giving me pinpoints information. Number one was stop eating meat.
Really?
And there was yeah, right. That's what I said. I got a cigarette, a beer. I just took a
And you
hit of
were.
weed.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, they don't mind the weed.
and then well, now, so for me to think that weed is blocking me is just going to block me because I think it. Just
I think to
stop
each
that.
individual, yeah. I think that's your belief system is exactly that. And an inner knowing, and it's important that you listen to your inner knowing. And I think all our makeup is different. I think our, you know, physically we're different in how we, you know, respond to whether it be medications or weed is different. And so again, yeah, very individual. So you have to listen to yourself. I think if you believe within you that it hampers your process, then it hampers your process, and don't do it. I think if
See,
you
now,
believe within you that it helps your process, then it helps your process, and go ahead and do what you feel helps your process.
I really do feel like it helps my process. I really
I do.
do feel like it almost makes me normal at times.
Mhm.
But I guess because of society and what's around me, I kept thinking, well, that must be what's
Well,
blocking me.
you know, I found there was every year was more like from 2012 when I started really experiencing the symptoms as well. You know, all of a sudden I had high blood pressure. I had perfect blood pressure all my life. Like, and I'm not, you know, I'm healthy. There's not in the blood, like all these different things. Anxiety kicked in. I'd never had anxiety before. Like all these different things. And each year brought on a new medication, a new prescription, and, you know, one after the other till I'm taking like, you know, 5 different pills in a day for different problems. And yeah, I'm not on any medication at all. I'm not
Oh,
on any
good.
pharmaceuticals.
I was
I'm
worried
not
when
on
you
any
said that.
pharmaceuticals at all. I don't
Okay.
yeah, I'm not, don't drink alcohol. Not that I really ever was much of a drinker. I've always smoked weed, and I've always found it helped me. A lot of my process, my spiritual process has been helped by marijuana. It really helps separate and put you back in the heart, for me, but we're all different.
Right. Might
And
not be that way for everybody. But yeah,
yeah,
for
and I
me,
incorporated with nature too. I was out, you know, those best moments when I was outside having a hike. I was participating in nature, um, and in a good place myself. If you're not in a good place yourself, you know, it's maybe not a good thing to do. So all that stuff's gonna bubble up. You know, I think a lot of people that talk about paranoia with marijuana is because really it kind of it takes a cap off and this stuff can float up. And if you, it's kind of a great example. Do you have control of this? You know, because if paranoia can really take hold of you, and that anxiety can still really take hold of you and run your mind, it's a great honing tool, you know. So, you know, can you stay grounded when this is going like this, or is all that stuff going to come up and you don't want to look at it and you don't want to see it and you can't control the thought process and you can't control what you're thinking about it? Then that's not a very good experience, right?
Right.
So so we're all very different, yeah, but I feel I can control that process, so I don't experience paranoia at all.
Oh, I have, and I
I
don't.
have.
I,
Yeah.
you know, especially with like when I was in Mississippi, that was bad for me. But it was being done on purpose. I was getting messages to leave Mississippi, and I was like,
Yeah.
okay, but I can't right now. You know, I got to do what I got to do, and the paranoia was making sure that I would get out and making sure I would leave. Those,
It has a place. Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. But if it's making you feel bad about yourself, then there's something.
But see, you know what? I wasn't smoking weed in Mississippi. I was, but not the way I have now. And now it's medicinally. As far as
Mhm.
I'm concerned, I'm not running down the street going, give me a bag.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, it's, you know, now I'm like, okay, well, I just need a little for this or a little for that. And I, you know, I'm not.
That's right. Yeah, I'm very aware of what I'm taking for what strain for
Hmm.
what I need, you know, because yeah, I don't use any pharmaceuticals. In fact, I believe it does help with ascension symptoms. So you're not taking these pharmaceuticals, antidepressants,
Especially the
because it's very common.
CBD.
The anxiety that kicks in with the energy waves that come in, people are like, oh my God, what's wrong with me? What's happening to me? I know, I experienced it. And it's not just you. So, you know, I know there's a lot of people flooding emergency rooms. Why am I having a panic attack? What's going on? Right. And I think a lot of it is this energy that's coming in. So, as well as the physical, I mean, you know, you said like when the weight kicks in, like when you feel it in your bones,
Hmm.
man, it weighs you down. And
Yeah.
so that, yeah, I think there's a lot of positives. I don't, geez, you know, a few years ago, you know, I was taking like going through a bottle of Advil in a month,
Oh,
you know,
wow.
a few years. Well, yeah, the head, like I couldn't,
Did the
the
spelling
physical,
change? I'm just
what's
kidding.
that?
Did the,
Dispel? Did it? Did it
Advil?
on Advil? I
I
have no idea.
think that was a Mandela effect.
Mm, might be. I'm not sure. I'm
I'm
not
not
taking
sure.
it anymore.
Well,
So
that's the thing. I kind of stopped. I keep saying I'm going to stop chasing Mandela effects because I realize it's a trap, or some sort, depending on where you are. I don't want to chase them anymore. And people email me, and they're like, "Hey, did you see this? See that?" And I'm like, "Well, go do a video on it." I don't- you know,
yeah.
I mean, I get it, and I just
Is it fun for you at this point? If
not
it's not,
now. It
then
was.
it's time to let it go. If you're having fun with it, if you're like, wow, look at these changes with reality, that's so cool. Who know, like, um, but if it's not, if it's become tiring, it's like, all right, I've already heard that story, like I've got what I needed out of it, then it's time for you to move on. It has its place in this, and you can observe it, but make sure that it leaves you in a good place. Like, yeah, if it excites you and you're enjoying it, then dig.
Well, what I
But
enjoy is this stuff. I enjoy picking other people's brains, getting their information, trying to figure out how they're feeling. I'm learning through that. When I first started doing videos, I was doing it for me. And
yeah,
I realized I'm still doing it for me. Even if I don't think I'm doing it for me, I'm still doing it for me. I thought,
yeah, yeah, and that's why, what I've I stopped making, like, I'd done so much to build up my channel. I spent so much time learning how to make videos, and I got all the way up to almost 6,000 subscribers. It's been dropping now, but because I haven't been making videos, but all that work I put in, and then I got to this year, and this whole concept of the stories and retelling stories, and how much I was investing externally as opposed to internally, and everything kind of flipped around, and I just got really quiet. That's why I've stopped making videos, because I think, at this point, I think that I may go back to it, but at this point, it's been such an energetic shift, really, and becoming quiet with the heart. I really distanced myself from all these stories. I didn't want to tell stories for a while. I just really had to be quiet and sit in this experience and let it unfold and understand what that is. Not I've got enough understanding I need at this point of how shifting and whatever is going on in this exterior world, and how things are shifting. And um at this point, it's all about what's going on in here. So I look forward to getting back to doing videos, but I think, for me, it's been a real foundational shift to reassess where exactly where I'm coming from,
oh, that's good.
and
Because I
yeah.
keep saying I'm going to get off YouTube. I got to stop because for me, those experiences that I was explaining to you earlier, there was one huge one a month. I mean, there was something different for a whole year. And in this 16, and my first video was on the Gulf of Mexico, and I'm going, yeah, it looks flat.
Hmm.
And then a couple videos later, I'm going, wait a minute, I don't know. Uh,
Yeah,
that that
but it's important
um,
to show that process. See,
well, yeah,
that's what I like, and that's why I've continued to share this over the year. A lot of these thoughts and concepts have changed for me and shifted
everything's
over,
stopped.
since I've been doing the show with Shane. But I
Everything.
like that we show the process, that we go through this process and we do come out of it, and we move away from things, and we, you know, what was right yesterday. And
But
it's great to show people the process, that you
and
don't
that's
just stay in it.
fine. But what
Mhm.
happened was when I started doing videos, those experiences stopped and didn't stop. They tapered off. Instead of having stars come at me, Christian Bale would come out of the TV,
Mhm.
or a scar would switch elbows. It's over here now, Doc. It's my left arm. Do your experimental stitch. I don't care. It's under my elbow. The
Mhm.
scar's over here. You know that
Mhm.
that's what that stuff changed to. It was like I went from eating no meat to eating turkey and shrimp.
Mhm.
The experiences kind of got different. Then when I started doing videos, every once in a while, a star will give me a twinkle. I mean,
Mhm.
a big one. Not nothing like August 8th and 15. I haven't
Mhm.
seen that yet, but I've had quite a few stars just give me a. Psst. Now I'm
Yeah.
out there with the P900, looking at them, and I'm talking to them.
Mhm.
I'm saying, hey, say hello. I don't know if it's my camera fixing the focus or what, but I'll get a little, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
So I just kind of let it go. Um, and where was the conversation going with, oh, I did want to say I didn't drink for 15 years and then became a bartender. And that's, one of the symptoms and things you're supposed to be doing and not doing. And what's blocking me? Nothing's blocking me. I'm blocking me. That's it. I get that.
Mhm.
One of the things I definitely wanted to get into was the Schumann resonance, because I know you and Shane talk about that a lot.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's not something I am real schooled in. I did
Mhm.
links on Shane's channel and stuck them down here on mine because I want to check on this in this thing because I want to check them out.
Mhm.
How does the Schumann resonance affect the shifts? Was that what's happening? You see the Schumann resonance move or something, and
I
there's
think it's one of the ways that we can see the energy, heightened energy coming in. It's one of the ways. So it's reading the frequency of the earth, and it's showing us when that frequency is getting blasted, is going up to it's been within this year, it's blasted over 100 hertz. And when so
but see
that
now I don't understand that, and that's what I wanted to hope you'd be able
so
to explain to me.
up until 2014, the frequency of the earth was what? I think it was 7.83 hertz, if I'm remembering correctly. If I'm not, I'm sorry, but you can easily look it up.
Sounds close though. I mean,
Yeah, and then all of a sudden all of a sudden the frequency in 2014 was the first time all of a sudden it went to like 16.5, and they're like, what's going on, right? And so this frequency has been continuing to get blasts since that time, that have been getting stronger and stronger. So here they were blown away by 16.5 hertz, and even with it within this year, we've had blasts of like 120 hertz. So what is going on? What does that say? I don't pretend to know, but it's one of the measures that is showing us. It's showing us that there is energy coming in, that the frequency of the earth is getting blasted. It is raising, and we can feel the effects of it.
we
So if you're curious about ascension symptoms and when you're feeling energy, Schumann is one of the times. Not always. I don't find it always does, but it often does correspond with extra lucid, vivid dreams. I find if there's blasts in the night, I hear a lot of reports about people having really vivid dreams, and I think that's. I've been working with the frequencies, like actually listening to high frequencies for meditation, and it induces a gamma state, higher functioning state within the brain. And I think this is one of the really key things that happens to us in this transition, as far as these increased frequencies allowing us, our brains, to start functioning at a higher oscillation. And this will allow for what I call abundant attention. Right now, we live within a limited attention span, right? Within your senses,
sure.
you only have a defined amount of attention. We can learn to multitask, right? But we have to multitask because we have a limited amount of attention. Our mind can only pay attention to this much. What happens in these higher states is an unlimited attention span. What happens when your mind has no limits on what it can focus in on? If you have abundant attention, I don't think you realize how much this can actually affect.
No.
Think about it. It will affect you physically, how you perceive your environment, everything. How you think, everything. If you had abundant attention, this is where I see things coming online, as in we would actually possibly be able to perceive our environment in a different way. And this is where I've had dreams to show me what that experience is like, what it's like to live in it, like to have an abundant attention. You're a multitude of consciousnesses running at the same time, overlapping each other. So one of the recent dreams I had showed me I was able to experience in this state, to experience 3 different states of consciousness, 3 different dreams going on all at the same time, and perceive all 3 at the same time. That's an example of abundant attention. So in one of the dream sequences, it was a completely spatial awareness. So that was showing me what abundant attention was in spatial awareness. I was basically, so I'd had an out of body experience. I pulled myself right out of my body, and then was in my room. And then 2 other consciousnesses went and were having 2 simultaneous experiences, but I maintained a consciousness within the room that was able to perceive my entire environment spatially in a completely different way than how we do it right now. I was spatially aware of myself within my environment, where everything, like every detail of everything within my environment, I was aware of all at once, as well as where I was. So there wasn't even a definite, so I could actually move within my environment spatially. I could move myself within my environment because there was such a tuning in to everything. It's hard to explain it in these terms because we don't function in that reality. So it's really hard to explain a different way of functioning reality we've never experienced before.
I understand that.
Hmm.
So while you were in that, you still had other yous you were aware of? Because this is
Yes.
reminding me of we're multidimensional beings.
That's right. How do you experience that? Well, you have to have abundant attention.
Okay, I love that. That's your word? You're coining that?
That's my thing, man.
Abundant
That's my thing.
attention. Bang.
This
Because
is what I
I've
think we don't
often said,
realize.
I've often said, I think what we're going towards is we're going to be able to experience more than one timeline at the same time. Dimension, density, whatever you want to call it. I just feel like that's one of the things we're going towards.
Yeah, and you experience that in a completely different way.
I've had
you can move through your environment. So the first one showed me showed me a spatial awareness, and the second one showed me a completely different visual perception. So an abundant awareness through visual perception. So one showed me a spatial abundance awareness. Then I was having simultaneously was having a visual abundant awareness experience. So imagine like high definition, seeing everything. But I mean, I was seeing the air at the same time. I was seeing like everything was moving. It was like being, right now, in order, so if we have a picture, and we want to zoom in and look, see that one little detail, and we have to obscure basically within ourselves everything else around us in order to focus in detail on a specific aspect. We are omitting everything else. We tunnel focus, right? The tunnel vision, in order to look and perceive that finite space and perceive those details. But what happens in abundant awareness is, imagine that you're able to perceive everything in finite details without the tunnel vision. Finite details of everything all at once, because there's no restrictions on what you can pay attention to and how much you can observe in detail. So you don't have to tunnel. You can perceive everything in that amount of focus all at once.
Is that something you're learning to do now, or you've done it? I mean, I've spoken with someone, Daniel Brinkley told me when I was talking to him, I'm experiencing 6 different dimensions right now. I had no idea what he was talking about. I had no idea. It was in 2006. And I'm like, well, yeah, we're multidimensional beings. And I'm like, what? He goes, you'll get it later.
Yeah. Because some of these things, it's hard until you've actually experienced like an energy blast or some of these dreams, or it's hard to communicate what these concepts are, what these experiences are like, until you've actually, because they are out of this dimension. They are out of anything that we have perceived within this reality that we're aware of. So it's really hard to communicate those concepts. at
verbally,
times.
especially. We don't have the words. But this does remind me of the dream I had that I believe I wrote about in the book, where I I don't remember a lot of my dreams. I mean, I know I dream, I wake up and I'm not thinking, write it down. I'm thinking, I'll never forget that. But I'm having this one dream where I am looking at, um, I believe it was two other me's, and
Mm,
they were deciding what to do with me. What are we going to
mhm,
do with this one?
mhm,
And I'm like, and I had a say, but not much. I mean, it was like I had a say, but honestly, it
mhm,
was their decision.
hmm.
And I didn't mind because I remember having a feeling like I'll do that. and I and I really think it had something to do with the stars and the impalement, and death is not for me. We don't die. I just shifted into another timeline. I think it might have had
Mhm.
something with me not knowing it or believing it. That may have. Otherwise, if I really thought I died and believed it, maybe I just revert back to a baby avatar. I don't know. I'm making that up. I don't know.
Because
Right.
we don't really know. You
Yeah.
can never really know till you know. So,
That's true.
and we won't be here when that happens, but we have to find an okay place with that, right?
Yeah.
We have that's where faith comes in. That's what faith is really, you
Yeah, I've
know.
been learning about faith
Mhm.
my whole creating, and I always turned my back on the word faith because of the religious context. I mean, that was just
Yes, I understand that. Yeah.
I just really was like, oh, it's bull crap, and now when I started to create with my heart, and I'm like, well, wait, faith is part of that because you got to let it go, and that's just happened. And so that's faith, and so
Yeah.
I kind of integrated it back into my thing. Although I've let go of a lot of that. That's too solid and physical for me to go out there and try and create.
Mhm.
Now I'm doing a lot of other things, and including using this as a magnet.
That's right. That's right.
This is huge. This is because now I can see what I was trying to do, because 1 + 1 is 2. And that's how they taught me to live. They taught me to
Right.
figure it out and then
Yeah.
you'll get it. No, don't
Right.
figure it out. Just let it go and bring
That's
it
right.
into what you want.
Just move through it. It really is. You just move through the experience in a magnetic way.
The more I think about it, the
Mhm.
easier it seems like it's going to be.
It is. I Yeah. It's I've experienced several times in dreams energy, and the shift that happens, like, very physically, with this energy coming in, and what an embodiment experience actually feels like. Um
How
and
do you
it's
know?
overwhelming.
Yeah,
It's
I was going to
overwhelming.
say, how do you know though? I mean, it wouldn't it be pretty cumbersome?
An embodiment experience?
Well, isn't that what we're doing? Is that what you mean? Or
Cumbersome how? I'm curious.
I'm a lot bigger than this body. But then again, that's
No, it's an energy thing. Yeah, no,
right,
it's an
an energy thing. So
it's an energy activation within. You certainly will feel bigger than your body. I don't know if we'll represent. I don't know if we'll actually change your brain. I there's so many things. I do know what the energy feels like. I do know what embodiment feels like, and what that experience is to move through an environment. Um, that is you. It's a completely different way of being. Um,
being is the key
yeah,
word,
but
I think.
yeah, it is. It's again one of those things that's hard to explain. There's not enough words. These real blasts of energy that change, that there's not enough words to express how full this feeling is. So, and it's a very different, again, it's not a thinking, you know.
We got.
We
I was told yesterday many times, get out of your head.
Yeah, it's not, it's a moving through an experience in a completely different way, and you're so at one with your experience and who you are. You really feel the perfection of who you are, and the glory of that. It's just such a liberating, overwhelming feeling. So, but I really think that's what's trying to be brought into us, and there's not enough words to describe it, and it does not function the same way that this functions. What we yearn for and desire for and want to manifest, it's kind of silly. Those things aren't even really relevant when you're working in the other way. It's It's completely
Yeah,
different.
a lot of
You won't be
times I
thinking
think,
about the same things, needing the same things, needing those things right now. Like it's just such a completely different way.
yes, was it your channel that said, I don't know, I heard something, maybe you were talking to Shane, that look, we can instantly manifest, but
Yes,
when we can do that, we're not going to need to.
that's exactly it.
Was that you
We don't think
or
the same way. Like we're so caught up in this, like, well, I need this thing, I want this thing, in order to be happy or prosperous, whatever it is within this life, and I'm going to bring that in. That's one of the wonderful ways that this world does work for us. But that's baby stuff. This is baby stuff. And motive, like, wouldn't even have a need for it. Like the way that you bring and mold your environment around you, it is you, it provides for you, like you're just experiencing it. There's this instant need isn't there,
right?
so it's not to say that we wouldn't be capable of instantly manifesting. I don't know. I know there's the wingman. I understand building a template that we may be able to attract energy to it and actually form objects or things, and that being really possible. But I don't see that we would really need to do that. It's such a flowing, immersive thing. It's like, it's like constantly developing around. So you're being so in tune. It's like, you don't have that same need. Oh, I need this right now. You're just constantly pulling. Your environment is you. It's an extension of you.
You're part
it's
of it.
perfect, just as you are perfect. So the need to have an instant manifestation isn't really there.
Right. I can understand that.
Yeah. It's just a different way of being. Mm-hmm.
Have you ever dabbled in tarot cards?
Yeah, I did do tarot for well over a decade, but not really so much anymore. I've stepped away from it. I just find a completely different way that I'm intuiting things, and that's part of it is actually what I've been talking about, this sort of instant need for answers and instant gratification. Tarot's a fantastic tool. It really expresses the hero's journey, and it's a great tool to sort of see where you're at, which direction you can go, and help give discernment in those things, what may be blocking you, the foundation for the situation you find yourself in. But I think for myself, my own process in sort of doing readings for people has really shifted. I don't require the cards anymore.
I've gotten that a lot, but
yeah.
I ask because a couple of times I'd be on YouTube and the reader will go, pick up a card and go, wow, I never noticed that before. And I'm screaming Mandela effect, I'm like, look, how well do you know these cards? The one lady's going, I always thought the sun was yellow and it's white on the full card. I always thought it was yellow, and it's cracking me up. I'm like, well, they're her cards, and other people are making different cards. And I realize there's so many different decks out there that
there are so many different decks. Yes,
it really doesn't matter.
And you're perceiving those, those cards have different perceptions with each reading, and there's a multitude of things in those pictures. Hey, and there could be Mandela effects to them, or there could not be. But yeah, I haven't even been pulling my cards out so much. The answers are right there. It's almost like by doing cards right now, it'd be like second guessing myself. I don't need to do that anymore.
I would think it would almost, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And I would think it would be going backwards to wherever you're at.
For me at this point, but it is a fantastic tool. But for me at this point, I'm listening to, I don't need to ask the deck of cards anymore. I can ask any question within. So for others and work intuitively. I'd rather tune in on the energy as opposed to tune in on the cards and tune in onto the energy of the cards. I'm kind of
taking out the middleman.
Yeah, essentially, and it just allows the process to flow. I can get to the crux of what needs to come out much quicker, and and avoid the song and dance. Like people want like this whole idea of this reading, and I have to explain what it is, and I don't know. It's like people meeting their expectations as opposed to just doing me.
Yeah.
Right.
So let's see. Here's what's rest on my list. You're gonna love this. Mud fossils, mud floods, Tartaria, Well,
Who knows?
I was just gonna say, you got anything? I was kidding.
No, I mean, it's all fascinating stuff, but I just think, it just shows you how
Distractions?
different history can be. And
Would
that
you
we
say,
don't really know. So I don't really focus so much on it. This is the thing
right?
that's changed for me, is not focusing on these stories anymore. That's like, I mean, it's dried up my video content.
Right.
Right?
See, to me, distractions, some fear stuff out there. You have all
Yeah.
these things out there taking you away from it's about you and what's going on in your area. I think it's okay to have the information on that stuff,
I think
but
it's okay to, look it up and everything. But if it's gonna take me outside of myself, confuse me in my foundation, distract me, with my energy, it's time to get really subtle with the energy and really listen to yourself and how things are affecting you. I don't think we realize, when we invest our energy and attention into all this digging. I love the rabbit holes. My brain loved rabbit holes. But it does, you have to listen to the subtle signs within you when to put it away.
yeah.
There's a lot of signals within us physically, energetically, that you can give off when it's time to just close the laptop and put it away, put it back in its place, not take it within you. You can take it off the shelf, you can look at it, say, oh, that's cool, put it back on the shelf. Know when it's time to put it back on the shelf, right? And step away, or else we can get obsessed with these things. And we take them, like Gollum with the ring, we taking it into us as opposed to just putting it away. So, and it can be a big distraction, but that's up to us. It's a personal choice.
Ah, okay. All right. 'Cause
Yeah.
I keep saying I'm going to get off YouTube, and here I am.
You know what? You can say that today and feel that, and then tomorrow you can feel completely different, and then the next day you can go back. So don't worry, but like, be in the now. Like, I've become a horrible person to make plans with, but you know what? It's how I feel like that day. I'll know then. I'll know when I'm there. When it's time to do something, I do it. I listen to within me. I don't make everything in my world require my immediate attention. Because this is what requires the immediate attention. So, it's a subtle thing. And it's time to it's a great test. It's not to say don't do it at all. It's a great way to hone your skill. Listen to yourself, that when you can observe and when it's time to put those things away. And today is a good day for that, or today is not a good day for that. And it doesn't have to be every day, like you said, you start eating some turkey and shrimp.
Big deal, right?
Maybe tomorrow, big deal.
But
Maybe tomorrow.
Orbs told me not to eat meat. Oh, go have a steak if you want. Now listen, there
What
was
is your heart telling you? Still, are you going to listen to
you're
orbs
right.
outside of you, or are you going to listen to your heart?
Ooh.
They may be flashy. Not everybody may see them every day, but they're still not your heart.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I think I went without meat. I was in Colorado when that happened and moved down to Mississippi. And I think the whole time I was in Colorado, I didn't touch meat.
Oh,
When
I
I
wouldn't
got
have. If it happened to me either, I'd be like, okay. But eventually, knowing me, I would have gone back to eating
well,
turkey.
yeah, and then I got back up here and I'm working in this, burger bar, so, I just went all out. Yeah, and I take breaks now, but every once in a while I walk across to the steakhouse and go get a steak. I mean,
Well, I think these days too, energetically, like, our physical body is going to let us know when it does not want to eat that food.
that happens.
It gets it, like, it's like, no, I want that out now. It can be painful. So, and that's where you can listen again, listening to your body, your, and how you're feeling. So, if you're starting to, eat a lot more meat, and you're feeling sluggish, and you feel like, are you changing? It's listening to these subtle differences
But
and being aware of the changes that you're making.
it's also about those energies coming in, right? I mean, isn't our diet going to change? We're going to eat less, I guess. I don't.
I go up and down. You know, some days like it's just weird. I feel like I never want to eat food again in my life.
Yeah, I feel that way a lot. I really do.
Like I won't need to. I don't even need food. And then another day, I just can't stop eating. I'm like a bottomless pit. So really, you know, as long as I'm trusting within me, and listening to what my needs are within that day, then that's good, you know. And it changes from day to day as this energy fluxes. So don't worry about making these long-standing commitments to what we will do and don't do. And it's really, that's your thinking, that's your ego mind stepping in again to say, okay, all right, I got it covered. We're not going to do this and we're going to do this, right? That's what all that is. Okay, these are the new rules then. Listen up, everybody. No, we don't need to do that. Shh, sit down, relax, smoke a joint. It's gonna be all right.
That's how this started with everything. No matter what I ask you, it's going to be go with your heart. Going with your heart, because everything else is out there, right?
It really ultimately is. And I think that's one of the things that dreams have really taught me, because that world is all in here. It's not going on out there. It's all going on in here. And that's a very real thing that I've, experienced a multitude of things that are more real than this reality that we live in. More real, more vivid, more. So, so what is real?
I had an out of body experience one that I'm sure I had a few, but this one when I felt what I was. I was I was gigantic. I was thick. It was a spiritual thing. I don't know. I was out of my body, but it was I was full. I was more me.
See, yeah.
So I know there's something there. That's not something
yes.
to tell me from some religion that we're spirits. There's something there.
Yeah, there is. There is. And I think we're feeling it more and more every day. A little bit more. Some days are better than others, but it's definitely been an interesting year so far this year for me.
Yeah. Not having many bad days, because when I do, I step back. I'm not going in my heart, but I step back and go, okay, and I might be like, well, this isn't real. Just watch it. I don't know if I'm doing it right, but it keeps me from hurting people.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. You don't have to take those stories on. You don't have to have those reactions. You don't have to participate in the drama. It's a choice. You don't have to.
It's not who you are.
Not required. I don't care what excuses you come up with and what stories you say. I can knock every one of them down. It's not required.
But you're still going. A lot of times, especially if you're new into it, you're going to go ahead and try and figure it out. You're going to.
That's all we know how to do.
And I do that. I'm like, okay, well, and I say there's an OCD in me. I don't know. I think I make that up, but I will sit there and finish that story. Well, I don't do that anymore now. I just cut it off and it's gone.
Yeah, just start. All you have to do is go quiet and check with the intention that you're pushing, that the intention, the energy of intention that's coming out of you. What is it? Is it stemming from a need of what you think what you must put out there onto other people? Like, where is it coming from? Where is this intention coming from? Is in learning the subtle differences. Is it coming from this thinking mind, or is it coming from the heart? And the heart doesn't need to push an agenda onto other people per se. You can let it go. What their experience is their experience. It's the ego mind that wants that affirmation. The ego mind that wants that participation.
The hardest thing to do is to learn to even feel it. I mean, to even feel it, it was almost impossible. For me. I mean, I didn't know what it was, but now I get it. I think that's
I think it's really gotten turned on, literally switched on for people. So hopefully, more people will be starting to see that there's a subtle difference here, that those words that just get, those stories that just get told over and over aren't really us. That there's a deeper truth, and it's all in the heart. So
that's the thing. We don't know who we are. What do we even know what it's like to be a human being? We've been manipulated and so much. Do we even know what it's like to be a human being?
We did once when we were little.
Oh, wow. Sure.
And that's what a lot of this is coming back to. You know, that energy, a lot of that nostalgia feeling comes back to the energy of being a child. And it's not the childhood memories so much per se that are drawing you. It's a state of being that's natural. It's a natural human state of being that we are in as children. And that's what we're trying to remember. That's what that nostalgia that keeps coming in. It's not a specific memory that we're trying to locate. It's an energy. It's a remembering of who we are, what it was like to be in that natural state before everybody told us how things work.
Right,
And
exactly.
our brains took over and did all the thinking for us and moderated our behavior, right?
Yeah.
So that's what we're trying to get back to.
But the kids in school, when they get stupid.
Why do you think they want those kids in school earlier and earlier, younger and younger, kindergarten and right? It's great for
Right.
working parents, you know. I get it. I was a single mom with 3 kids, so I was glad,
Oh,
but
God bless you.
I see why. You know, it's to get control of those minds earlier and earlier and earlier and out of the home, unfortunately. So, but that's another story.
Do we have time for more stories? We're over an hour.
We are over an hour. I think you pushed my limit for today, but I will.
I
will come
appreciate
back.
that. I do
Yeah.
appreciate that. I was like, uh-oh, we're over an hour. I'm gonna
Otherwise,
get
there'll
it.
be like, this girl says she stopped talking. She never shuts up.
I was
But
thrilled.
that was a lot of fun. I'd be happy to come back and talk some more. So
Fantastic. That's great. Great.
mhm.
Thank you very much, Michelle. Bye,
Oh, God
everybody.
bless.
I'm gonna make sure I'll post her information down in the link.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on. It was fun to be here and fun to get a chance
And
to
nice
chat with
meeting
you.
you.
So, thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you
Are you
very
going to
much.
ECETI? Are you going to be able to make it to ECETI?
You know, it's hard to make plans with me.
I know, me too. But apparently I'm going.
Are you? See,
Yes.
now I've been thinking about it. As a matter of fact, I want to call Shane and see if I'm thinking I already got everybody's sidekicks on all the big Mandela effect shows. So now I'm going to go get the big people on, and
Right.
I'm going to get him on here, and maybe we'll talk about that because he said he was thinking about stopping by the bar before he goes.
Oh, that's your bar. Oh, okay,
It's not
cool.
my bar, but I
Oh,
work
I get
here.
where you were. I get it. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Oh, okay. Because you're okay.
So
Cool.
he's like practically coming through and he's going to stop and he's like, should we make it a big thing? And I'm like, I got people all the time going, well, we got to have a Mandela effect party there and all this. And I'm like, look, come on down anytime you want. I don't think I'm
Mhm.
going to want to host. you
Yes.
know,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm thinking when that happens, I might just get behind the bar and work.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
But I want to talk
Yeah.
to him because I think we were kicking around whether it was just going to be him and a couple of people, or if we were just going to let it out there and tell everybody.
Yeah. Well, where is it located? Where are you located? The restaurant, the bar?
Leadville, Colorado,
Oh, Colorado. Okay.
smack
Cool.
in the middle of the
Cool.
mountains.
Oh,
Yeah, I
okay.
get great
Well, I'll
phone
be flying
reception.
in and stuff, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'll be able to, but
Everything's
mhm.
2 hours away from here. I mean, I go out to get
Oh,
milk, it's 2 hours away.
wow. Well, it's like my mom and I, we do shopping once a month, hey? We shop literally
Hey,
grocery shop for the month. That's
that's
it.
that's the Canadian accent, eh?
Hey? Yeah. I am Canadian, that's for sure. You don't get much more Canadian than me.
But I am going to talk to Shane about that because I haven't talked about it on my channel and it's still on now, so that's fine. And there's like this big gathering. Can you tell me about it?
Well, just we're all getting together at ECETI. Let's check out some UFOs and talk to each other and just enjoy communicating with like-minded, heart-minded
Oh
individuals.
no, you know what? I don't think I'm gonna be able to go. That's like what, the third and
The
fourth?
8th,
Oh,
no,
it's
the 8th to the 11th
okay, yeah.
at ECETI Ranch. Yeah.
I might
Mhm.
be able to work that. Problem is I don't have a vehicle, and if he's coming, he's picking me up
Right.
and dropping me off.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's
I'll have to talk to him if I'm
yeah.
going, but
Yeah.
because my car broke down. I'm done. I'm kind of spirit said, no, you stay where you are.
Me too. No car here either.
Wow. See,
Yeah.
there
My
you go.
mom came out. Yeah, my mom's is done, but at least I'm here sort of keep being our company. And we're out in the country, so we just do like we shop for like the month, and yeah.
Oh,
Won't be
beautiful.
forever, but it's been a few months. So, but I think that's my time. This is my quiet time. There's a purpose for all of it, right? So, it's been very quiet and internal, and yeah, it's just part of my process, and I can see how it's perfectly perfect, just the way it is. Even though a lot of people would think being without a car is not so perfect.
Oh no, I'm walking a lot,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's good. And this, and I get to see this more often. Let's see if I can
yeah. You gotta.
focus in on that. Is that gonna? Yeah, there you go.
Oh wow!
Right.
Oh wow! Yeah, yeah.
That's
Oh, that's awesome.
just a bit there. That's all.
Yeah, yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, yeah, well, I'm in paradise, right?
Yeah. Well, I might not be in
And there's
paradise,
not,
but
and there's not a
Ontario will
lot,
do.
and there's a lot of, not a lot of people. And every time I go down to the city,
Hmm.
I'm like, oh no, I got to get out of here. I
Hmm.
can't stay
Hmm.
long. I go down to Denver, I get sick. Everybody's like, the altitude, when you come up, you're supposed to. I said, I go down there, I can't even drink beer. Everybody's like, to drink
Yeah.
everybody under the table. I said,
Yeah.
no, I get sick.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not.
And the energy gets a lot for me. It's like static, right? It's like static energy. It's just yeah, I get a little fried after a while, so I can only handle doses at a time. Hey Zoe. There's Zoe.
Zoe's a kitty.
Zoe Baloney.
We got a
There's
kitty.
my girl. No, my boy.
Oh, puppy. I'm looking at him now.
Puppy. Not my
Oh,
boy. It's my girl. It's my puppy. There she is.
oh.
Yeah. Yeah, she gave there you go. Give the microphone.
Hello.
All right. She's letting me know it's time to go.
Yeah, it is. I really pushed you. I know.
That's okay. No, it was great fun. All good.
And I
So
lost my.
she always just lets me know when it's time, right?
Oh, that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. She said, time, Mom. Time to go
I
for
lost
swim.
my camera anyway, moving it around.
Yeah,
a lot,
I don't know where your picture went, but I don't see you anymore.
Yeah.
Your picture's frozen.
Is that right?
So I
yeah.
don't, yeah.
Frozen. Ouch.
Mm-hmm. On this end, anyways. I don't know if it is on YouTube. Okay, Jojo.
All right. We'll say
All right, my
goodbye
friend.
again. Thank you very much, friend.
you're
Love
quite
you for doing this. Thank you very much.
And we'll talk again.
We will.